This trailer makes one thing very clear. Episode 4 is not just going to push Euphoria forward, it is going to corner almost everybody at the same time. Rue has the law closing in, Allie starting to distrust her, and Lori likely ready to strike back. Cassie is stepping into a version of freedom that already feels dangerous. Nate is trying to hold on to power while his life is quietly falling apart. And Jules may be forced to choose between passion and the kind of money that keeps dragging her away from herself. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, the trailer for Euphoria Season 3, Episode 4 looks like one of the biggest turning points of the season so far. It picks up right where Episode 3 left off, and from the very first seconds, you can already tell that the show is moving out of messy, emotional drama and into full consequences. In my opinion, this looks like the episode where everyone's choices start coming back around at once. The biggest storyline in the trailer is obviously Rue.
We open with her getting pulled over, and immediately that tells you what kind of episode this is going to be. The energy is not subtle. It is pressure. It is panic. It is the feeling that something Rue thought she had escaped is now coming back in a much more dangerous way. And the key detail here is not just that she gets taken in. It is what they seem to know. The moment law enforcement starts pulling old evidence and old movements back into the conversation, that changes everything for Rue. Because now she is not just dealing with her present life, she is being dragged backward by the things she thought were buried. That matters even more because of where she is right now. Rue is already operating in a world where one wrong move could get her killed. So if the authorities are paying attention to her, then Alamo is going to start seeing her as a liability. And honestly, I think that is exactly where this episode is heading. The trailer makes it feel like Alamo is no longer looking at Rue as someone useful. He's starting to look at her like someone dangerous. That line about her having the eyes of a rat trying to figure out where to go next tells you everything. Trust is fading, fast. And when trust fades in a world like this, the next step is usually surveillance, suspicion, or violence.
That is where Bishop comes in too. He already feels like the person who notices everything before Alamo says it out loud. So if Rue is under pressure from outside forces and starting to behave differently inside the operation, then I think Bishop is absolutely going to be watching her closely. The trailer even gives that feeling through the way it frames him. Quiet, still, alert, like someone already expecting betrayal. Now add Lori to all of this, and suddenly Rue is not just in trouble, she is trapped. Because whatever happened between Alamo and Lori clearly is not staying in the past. Lori mourning that bird does not feel like a random emotional beat. It feels like the setup for retaliation. And in my opinion, that makes the second half of the trailer much more sinister. Once we start seeing armed figures storming the club and people getting held at gunpoint, it really feels like the walls are closing in on Rue from every side. Law enforcement wants answers. Alamo wants certainty. Lori wants revenge. That is a terrifying combination. And what makes it worse is that the trailer gives the impression Rue may know more than she should about where the money is being kept. So now the big question becomes this. Is Rue just caught in the middle?
Or does everyone around her start believing she played a role in what is coming next? That could be the real danger of this episode, not just the threat itself, but the suspicion that follows it. Now, on the other side of the trailer, we have Jules, and I actually think her storyline might end up being one of the most emotionally important parts of the episode. Lexi seems to be offering her a real opportunity, something tied to creativity, something tied to the version of herself that once wanted to make art and build a life around it, and I really like that direction. Because Jules has spent so much of this season drifting toward a life built on money, convenience, and survival that it feels important to finally put her back in front of something real, something she actually wanted. That is why I think the painting matters so much in this trailer. It is not just a visual, it is a choice. If Jules starts creating again, then she has to confront a really uncomfortable truth. Does she still want the life she once dreamed about, or has she gone too far into the easier, more dangerous path to come back from it? Personally, I think that is one of the strongest conflicts in the entire trailer because it is not loud, but it is deeply sad. Jules has a chance to reconnect with something genuine, and the trailer seems to hint that she might destroy that chance herself. If that happens, then I think it's going to hit hard, especially because it will not just affect her.
It could hurt Lexi too, and Lexi feels like one of the only people in this season still trying to move forward in a relatively grounded way. Then there is Nate. And honestly, he looks like a man trying to hold together a life that is already breaking under the surface. He's bruised, publicly damaged, still trying to talk like someone in control. But the trailer makes it feel like his image and his money are both becoming unstable at the same time. That scene where he appears to be speaking in an official setting feels important because it suggests he is trying to save the construction project that could be the only thing keeping his financial situation from completely collapsing. If that project dies, then the pressure from his debt does not just stay emotional, it becomes deadly. And that is what makes Nate's story in this episode interesting. He's not just dealing with marriage problems, he's dealing with consequences that could ruin or end his life if he cannot stop the damage in time. Which brings us to Cassie, because while Nate is trying to stop everything from collapsing, Cassie seems to be moving in the opposite direction. She's stepping into a new world with Maddie guiding her, and that immediately makes the whole thing feel unstable. On paper, it looks like freedom, reinvention, independence, maybe even power, but the trailer does not sell it like safety, it sells it like temptation.
Maddie wanting to repackage Cassie and put her in front of the right people tells me this storyline is not really about confidence. It is about image, performance, selling a version of yourself that may not even feel real anymore. And in my opinion, that is exactly why Cassie looks so uncomfortable in parts of the trailer. She may want the money, she may want the attention, she may want a way out of depending on Nate. But wanting a new life and being emotionally prepared for what that life demands are two very different things. What also makes this more complicated is Maddie herself. I do not fully trust her intentions here. Maybe some of what she is doing is genuine, but the trailer gives me the feeling that there is still something unresolved underneath all of this. A little jealousy, a little control, maybe even a desire to shape Cassie in a way that serves Maddie more than it serves Cassie. And if that is true, then this storyline could go dark very quickly. So when I step back and look at this trailer as a whole, I think episode 4 is really about pressure and the cost of reinvention.
Rue is trying to move forward, but the past is dragging her back. Jules is being pulled between passion and survival. Nate is trying to perform stability while everything around him weakens. Cassie thinks she is stepping toward independence when she may actually be stepping into another trap. And that is why I think this could be the most eventful episode of the season so far. Not just because of the action, or the gunman, or the police, but because every major storyline feels like it is reaching a point where pretending is no longer enough. But anyway, that is my breakdown of the Euphoria Season 3 Episode 4 trailer, and my theories on what could happen next. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Rue survives this episode without turning on someone? Or is Episode 4 the moment everything finally catches up to her? I will catch you in the next one.